Hey, it's Romy. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. If you're returning, then thank you, and if you're new, then welcome. This is the February reading for the sign of Leo. So if you have a Leo sun, rising or moon, this reading may resonate for you. It is general. If you'd like to go ahead and support my work, you can find a link for the extended version of this reading in the description box below. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram. You can find my services at romywyser.com and also join me via my membership group on Patreon. So Leo, let's go ahead, see what's coming out in February. Okay Leo, so we're opening your reading with two cards. The first is your guide card for the month of February. From the Major Arcana, it is the Star. And the second, the gift for the month of February that we have pulled for you is the card of opportunity. I'm working with the idea of the guide and the gift in personal readings, which you can find more information about on my website, Your 2020 Soul Journey and Your 2020 Journey to Love. But in the context of this month, Leo, let's look at what the star is bringing in. First of all, it is ruled by Aquarius, and we are in Aquarius season, which for you is your polar opposite sign. So we're 7th house with a real focus in and around relationships and partnerships. But I think for many of you, what the emergence of this guide card is bringing through is a time for really allowing some respite. It's bringing in that healing and a moment where I feel that you're not really attaching yourself to any specific outcome. There's almost this period of pause, of reflection and assessment. And that makes sense because through the month of February, we do have Mercury turning retrograde. We're going to be in shadow right from the start of the month, and it's going retrograde initially in the sign of Pisces from the 17th through to the 4th of March, and then from the 4th to the 9th in the sign of Aquarius. So in Pisces, it's in your 8th house, which is that deeper subconscious area where you are going to be kind of doing a little bit of inner contemplation. So I quite like the idea though that the star is giving you a sense of illumination. She's guiding the way, she's showing you the path and the way forward. But I feel you just taking some time for yourself, taking some time to kind of recalibrate, think about what the month of January brought up for you, how some of these themes have played out. We've still got a lot of outer planets in Capricorn moving through your 6th house, and Mars moves into Capricorn on the 16th. So you're still dealing with this quite rigid, quite harsh, critical energy that 6th house can sometimes bring forward. So I really like the kind of healing elixir that the star is bringing forward. And your beautiful gift card, which is the blessing that Spirit wants to provide for you through this month of February, is opportunity. So what we have is this lovely flow toward opportunity. What I think is interesting is both of these cards are showing the crescent moon and a night sky. And for me, perhaps some of you might still feel a little bit in the dark. You might feel that you haven't quite come to the point of understanding or feeling through what things are showing, like what the revelation is, what it is that you need to understand, how to move forward yet. So allow that darkness to just cocoon you, is what I want to say. It's just like a very protective energy from both of these, knowing that actually where you are being guided, where the illumination of the stars and this crescent moon is coming in, is to offer the chance of a new beginning, but one that you move to quite gently as we move into this month of February, is what I want to say. Now we also have a full moon in your sign this month, Leo, which is really beautiful. There's a lovely aspect. It's trining with Mars, so it's an incredibly compassionate but bold energy that's coming through. And I think for you, that's really going to give you the sense of courage. But again, there's this sense of just going gently, moving at your pace. This is about you taking some time, taking stock. And as we're in Aquarius season, perhaps for some of you there is a real focus on what you want to do next with regards key relationships or partnerships. Maybe there's some healing and that needs to come in, and actually the opportunity to revisit or reset something. During Mercury, sometimes communication can get a little frazzled, but we're certainly having time for yourself, for you to really contemplate and have a release. So we open your reading with a card of Judgment. So another powerful major arcana helping to guide you, giving you the permission, I think, to really step into the new version of yourself. You're going to be stepping out fully in that full moon energy on the 9th, which is really beautiful. I think that's going to set you up to be able to allow the transformation and almost this rebirth that wants to come in, and that star energy really allowing for new paths to form. Perhaps some of you are really going to be calling time, or certainly coming to a final decision about key people in your life. So either from a personal or professional capacity, you may well be making the decisions through the month of February. But I have a sense that maybe you might take a little bit more time before you communicate that out. And I think that's not a bad idea. During the retrograde, your intuitive senses are going to be really sharp, but I feel that you might take that little bit of extra time just to make sure you're absolutely aligned with what's coming up and what you're thinking about. So 7 of Cups energy coming in, talking to me about the fact that not only will you have choices, but you kind of need that moment to step back and almost just surrender into what I want to say is a much more celestial energy. That star energy, 7 of Cups, is just saying, you know, move into that retrograde and allow that kind of slight haze, that slight sort of dreamy-like quality to just give you some healing. Allow the opportunity for you to step back from the fray, to, you know, move away from anything that feels really heavy or onerous in your life at the moment, so that you can really figure out what feels right, so that you can sense your way forward. You know, this is a month where I feel you are going to be deeply sensing your way forward rather than thinking your way forward, and you're going to be strongly guided toward what that means. You may well be a little bit confused about what's coming your way in terms of other people's perspective. So I feel there could be news on the table, communication coming towards you, but it might not be so clear. So it's almost like you're having to read between the lines a little bit and to try and actually ascertain where somebody is coming from. Could be a little bit frustrating, particularly if you have been waiting for some time, I want to say, Leo, or if you're trying to find where the opportunity lies, particularly from a professional capacity. For those of you looking at work or business, you know, is this the right direction or way forward for me? And what the guides are saying is you're really going to have to take a lead, like from yourself. You know, I don't think that anyone else is going to necessarily have enough meaningful communication or information at this point to help you. 4 of Pentacles I really like for you. I think it's giving you a little bit of grounding energy in what is set to be quite a deeply emotional month, where at times you could feel like you're kind of moving off into that slightly fantasy realm, that you can't really get a bead on what feels real and what feels illusionary. So I quite like that the anchoring energy of this card is really going to remind you what's important, show you where the right place is to direct your energy and your emotions. I do think that you are kind of holding back a little bit, but I think that's really the right decision and the healthier option at this point, Leo, because the holding back feels to me, it's not, you know, you're not doing it to try and cause a reaction from anybody else. I think you're doing it because you just want to be really sure before you know, create that ripple effect and you start putting things in motion. And you're really, I think, trying to figure out from an opportunity perspective, you know, where it's going to, you know, where your energy and your investment is best served at this moment in time. So, you know, I really like that you might take that time to just kind of call your energy back in a little bit and keep a quiet counsel on things. I think perhaps some of you may be feeling that there has been some emotional distance, you know, or even emotional avoidance. Could be you that's been expressing that particular energy, but I feel more that there could be somebody that's showing up in that capacity in your life right now, Leo. If that's the case, I think, you know, there has either already been a little bit of conflict, there's perhaps been some arguments in recent times, or there is set to be something that comes up that does create a little bit of you know, jostling, and maybe there's a slight power play that's kind of needing to come to the surface so that it can be cleared out. I also feel that perhaps where you are trying to come to a decision or figure out the right way forward, it isn't so clear cut. You know, you do feel a little bit conflicted about what it might mean. I almost feel like I keep getting a sense of you not wanting to make the wrong call, or feeling like if I go in this direction, does it mean I'm going to miss out? Or, you know, should I be really investing myself so heavily in this one person, in this one direction? You know, when we're in Aquarius in that 7th house, for you it is going to be very much about the key partners and relationships, you know, where you want to align, who you want to come together with. On the 7th of this month, Venus is moving into the sign of Aries. So it's kind of interesting placement there, you know, it's quite bold, it's quite playful, quite flirtatious, not the most comfortable position for Venus to be in, but it's in your 9th house, which brings in this quality of sort of being quite visionary, being quite open-minded, and I think that that's going to be necessary for you to be able to seize the opportunities that are starting to emerge through this month. So I do think you're going to get quite a strong feeling of the energy before you start to see it. Remember, if we're kind of moving through that night sky, it's almost just like the daylight hasn't quite come in to illuminate everything for you yet, but be patient, because I think it's going to. So 3 of Wands at the center of your reading, I really like this for you. I think it's indicating for me that you're ready to experiment and to sort of put yourself out there and to take a bit of a risk and be bold and stepping up and stepping forward. So, you know, if you have a real focus in and around what's happening in your work and career and business, I think as we start to move through this month, you're gaining a little bit more clarity. You're starting to see where you want to position yourself. And most importantly, and I think actually this is where Mercury is really going to help you, Leo, is that I feel you're starting to really see yourself in that position. And maybe that's been a bit of the missing link for you. Maybe up to this point, you know, you've had some dreams, some desires, some bigger ambitions about what you wanted to achieve, but there was almost this sense of like you couldn't quite see yourself in the picture. You couldn't see yourself in that role. You couldn't see how the business would you know, support that idea, that move. And I think there's something that's adjusting and taking place through this month of February, you know, as you move into that kind of more spiritual energy, particularly as we move into Pisces, coming into your 8th house. But, you know, it is very much about where you want to invest, you know, looking at how investment can come into you, but how that almost kind of increases your stock. And I mean stock in terms of your energy, like the way people, you know, perceive you reputationally, what you have to offer. So I think people are going to start to look at you with fresh eyes through this month of February, because your energy is it's probably more contained than people might be used to with you, Leo. And I think this is as a result of what you've been going through and how you're actually starting to honour that growth, and you're being a little bit more selective about where you want to open up, who you want to have around you. And that's really serving you, because it's helping you to protect your energy levels a little bit more. From a relationship perspective, I've got communication coming through with this energy. I feel like if somebody has had their back turned, I mean, both of these cards, the back is turned. So either you could have turned your back on somebody or have felt that somebody has done this to you. And again, like the holding back of emotions. So, you know, some of this will be playing out through the retrograde season, but I think where we have this beautiful guide card of the star, you're kind of holding balance. There's a beautiful sense of renewal and hope coming in, and also like a clarity, which I really like. There's a sense of your guides wanting you to have faith in terms of the way that things are coming together. So we have King of Swords energy coming in. Of course, this could be an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra, who might be involved in what we've just been talking about. As an expression of you, though, Leo, I think this is what I mean when I talk about the idea of you coming over a little bit more contained, a little bit more just like holding back your emotional energies, even if you are taking the time to move through that landscape yourself. I don't feel like people around you are necessarily kind of seeing that playing out. You're not, this is a month where I don't actually see you fully wearing your heart on your sleeve. And it's important because I think you need your energy for yourself. You're taking time to really not only sense your way through, but now come to firmer conclusions about what that means. Great strategist, the King of Swords, and I feel like that is where you're at. I think that you are thinking about the strategy of your life. It's like, okay, if I have this kind of chessboard before me and I make this move, how is it going to impact? And it isn't for me, it's not about playing games. I don't really sense that. I think you're genuinely wanting to move forward and allow yourself to step into like a different cycle and embody a different way of being and make changes and adjustments in your world to really reflect that. So this kind of strategy time that's going to take place as you're moving through retrograde is allowing you to reassess things in a kind of minutiae detail. So okay, there will be some times of maybe feeling slightly overwhelmed actually at all the choices and all the variations and variables that could play out. But King of Swords energy is going to give you the capacity to be able to hone right in to actually what really matters and be able to extract out of that the most meaningful information. So where your guides are giving you those intuitive hits, I don't think you're going to miss them. They're coming through loud and clear for you. If this is somebody that has been particularly difficult or obstinate, or you felt very detached, Leo, again, we have the opportunity for some resolution coming in. I think there's going to be a time for some very forthright, direct conversations and perhaps some confessions that are going to come through, either from you or from this individual. But I definitely see the opportunity of you overcoming any obstacles that have really challenged you of late. 9 of Pentacles coming in because they talk to me about that, in all of this unfolding through the month of February, I see you holding tremendous grace. I see you not doing or saying anything that you're going to regret too heavily later, which is good to know when we're in retrograde season, Leo. But I also see you becoming far more competent and confident in your ability to start to draw towards you the things that you need to have that sense of self-reliance and inner security. For those in business, I do feel that after a period of perhaps some challenge and strife, you're starting to get much more, there's almost, it's like you have, something's going to click. That's what I say. Something's going to click. It's like all of a sudden you're going to realize the adjustment that you need to make. And it's going to surprise you is what I'm going to say. It feels like with one tiny shift in the business, in the way that you are operating in your role or your job, or there's a shift in your mindset, all of a sudden that opens out a whole raft of new opportunities. And when you look back, you're going to be like, I can't believe it was actually that simple. Like it only took that one shift. And that's what I feel this retrograde is going to show you, because it's maybe going to give you the opportunity to go back and look at something and how it played out, and you're going to see it with a completely different vantage point, and that's really going to deliver you this idea of seeing like new opportunity in something old. That's what I see. You're seeing like, perhaps where you felt even something was dead and gone or buried, or it didn't really yield or deliver for you. All of a sudden I see that being able to step forward really powerfully. From a relationship perspective, for me, this does suggest that maybe some time out is needed so you can gather your energy, your strength, feel good and strong within yourself before you start to have those more serious conversations. But for those of you already in relationships, I see you standing strong and holding your own. That's what I will say comes through the 9 of Pentacles really powerfully. So we have the card of the World coming in, which is really beautiful, talking to me about how much you've learned in this cycle. And if we look at the fact the world is ruled by Saturn, and we think about what Saturn's been doing with that conjunction in January, activating into your 6th house, I think you have done some really deep dive lessons for yourself about the way that you want to show up, how you treat yourself, that inner critic, that inner judge that holds you to account, the way that you want to start taking care of yourself in a better way. So there's been so much rich, kind of fruitful knowledge and wisdom that's come to the surface. I also see a very positive outcome on the horizon for something that I feel perhaps has been held back or you've been waiting for some time. I think you're going to start to get a glimpse of it. The star is indicating to me that we've got something really beautiful that's set to start to manifest for you, and that there's almost the sense of keep going, keep flowing toward the opportunity, keep doing what you're doing, don't give up. You're about to turn a corner. An adjustment that you make is about to realize something really wonderful. I also think perhaps there's an earth sign as well that, I don't know, perhaps there's a longing or there's a looking back, or perhaps there's an earth sign set to come back in. That's also coming up for me. So for those of you perhaps that are looking at this from a relationship perspective, I do think that there's the opportunity to revisit something, but I do see you being a little bit detached and quite cool and holding your cards close to your chest, because you simply don't want to go back, you don't want to revisit, you don't want to have to unearth everything that's been sort of gone over time and time and time again. I feel like you're kind of weary and tired of that, so it has to be with something new coming to the table, and I think you're ready for that fresh new perspective, and you will kind of almost demand it from others. So by holding your vibration strong, people are going to step up, and they're going to have to meet you at that new level if they want to be a part of things moving forward with you, whether that be personally or professionally. And I think the Five of Swords energy coming through is about, for me, where you have identified the parts of your life where you have been holding yourself back. That's what comes through with this really strongly. That your interpretation of events, your interpretation of how things have unfolded, and your part to play in them, not again from a place of like judging yourself, but just being really open and really truthful, and this acknowledgement that says, okay, I could have maybe handled that better, or it was my fear or my overthinking or my jumping the gun, or just the way in which I decided what this story was and how it would play out. And the power that I actually held with that narrative, and how it influenced events. So I see you being really kind of cleansing in your ability to recognize, and it feels really cathartic actually. I have this sense, because we have a completion and a sort of ending of a cycle of disappointment. That's what I want to say. So we are moving to an energy where you're starting to look at things with more hope and more renewal. So let's go ahead and see what oracle cards are coming out, just to reflect what your cards are saying, Leo. So we have Pisces coming in on the 19th, and the 23rd brings that new moon in Pisces into your 8th house. So 8th house, dealing with other people's money, dealing with that kind of deeper subconscious aspect of you, but really bringing in a sense of transformation as well. And for me, it's about where you want to invest. That's what I feel, because that Four of Pentacles to me is talking about that kind of aspect of things. So your oracle card is core. And what I want to say is, in the core of your being, what do you feel right now about a situation, right? So whatever it is that's really on your mind at the moment, Leo, where your focus and your energy and attention is, the thing that's kind of on your mind the minute you wake up in the morning, what do you honestly feel is right from your highest and best potential, your best self just now? Because I feel like you're getting real guidance to support you in how to move forward. It's coming from your solar plexus. It's coming from a place of your intuition, where your guides want you to feel empowered. They want you to feel confident. They want you to have that sense of conviction about what you're deciding for yourself and your life moving forward is actually right for you. And this burst of kind of beautiful colors that is coming out from your auric field here, suggesting to me that you are in a very powerful place, even if you are still in that kind of slightly contained energy, when you make that decision and you really align with what's coming through in the core of your being, then you're about to make some really big leaps forward in the area of your life that it's really important, okay? Just be a little bit careful just around, I guess want to say like stomach and digestive issues, you know, particularly if you hold your stress in that area. So if you're finding that you're a little bit on tenterhooks as you're either waiting for an outcome or you're kind of bumping up against some things during retrograde that are maybe activating some emotional triggers within you or bringing a little bit of confusion coming in, just be mindful of how you can release that energy from your body. Where are you holding it? You know, so many of us kind of hold that tension and stress in our stomach area. So just make sure that you're breathing and that you're allowing your physical body to fully relax as you're processing and thinking about some of the choices, decisions, and the way forward, okay? Oh wow, beautiful. So we have a full moon in Leo this month, and your oracle card is a full moon in Leo. So interesting, don't let pride get in the way. Okay, so here I think what we're saying is that if in your deep inner knowing there is a compelling and powerful message about how to move through this month and what it means in the energy and the connections and the situations that are unfolding. Don't be too closed off. Don't be too quick to judge, okay? I almost say like, you don't have to agree with what anybody else's perception of how events unfolded. You don't have to agree with it, is what I want to say, Leo. But in listening to someone else's perspective, you can perhaps see the opportunity of a way forward. So if you have come up against a kind of a block with somebody personally or professionally recently, or even, you know, perhaps from a family perspective, allow that beautiful illumination of the full moon. It's got that lovely trine with Mars, so it's giving us the courage, the motivation, that kind of strong energy to actually take some action. But there's also a release, right? The full moon is about the release. So try to release any expectations of what you think was going on, and perhaps where you did feel some sense of confusion. Allow the communication to come forward. You are standing strong and you're in a position of power. I don't see anyone getting the better of you. I don't see you kind of being in a place where you are feeling hugely disappointed even with that Five of Swords energy. For me, that's more about your recognition of where you've held yourself back and how we can move beyond the setback. So yeah, just take that full moon energy and let it support you, let it nurture, let it hold space for the key conversations, interactions and meeting points that need to happen. And even if that's with you and yourself or you and another, allow that to play out, Leo. Okay, so thank you so much. I hope that's given you some insight and clarity for your month of February. If you'd like to join me for the extended reading, we'll talk for another 20 minutes or so, pull out some deeper messages around what is coming up, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull some clarifying cards for us around that just now. Let's see. Okay, so Judgment's bringing up Hanged Man energy. I think there is that sense of surrendering in to the energy in February. You know, it's not a time to fight. It's a time to release. It's a time to let go. 9 of Wands, that wounded warrior energy. So I think you do feel a little bit weary, and so there is that sense of needing the healing to come in. Star and Judgment bringing in a beautiful river of healing as we move through that Piscean Mercury retrograde, taking us into our internal emotional landscape. 7 of Cups bringing through the King of Cups, okay? Perhaps just the emotional journey that you're going on, but could also be a water sign that we're dealing with, a Cancerian, Pisces or Scorpio that's part of the equation here, the full energy. Where do you want a new beginning with somebody, or you want a fresh start on your own? You want to step out? We'll look at that a bit more. Page of Pentacles coming through with that Four of Pentacles. So I do think, you know, you are set to make some good, strong decisions about your work or career this month, Leo. And I think that you're going to be absolutely on the money with some of the ideas and inspiration that come through, because you're going to feel it in your belly. Remember, when we talk about law of attraction, we have to feel it in the belly as much as those vision boards that we create. Okay, you've got sun energy coming through with the Five of Wands. Beautiful. Your card, of course, Leo. Five of Cups. Okay, interesting. 2 5s in the sun there. We'll explore that in a bit more detail. 3 of Wands bringing in the 5 of Swords. Okay. 7 of Swords as well. Definitely some trust, some anxiety. There's some stress going on with those sword energies, but okay, Tower. So I feel like this is the clearing up. Perhaps you're in the clearing up of something. Why do I want to say whose mess are you clearing up, Leo? Or do you feel like you're having to clear up your own mess? But King of Pentacles coming in with the King of Swords. There's that earth sign I was talking about. Definitely think some of you have got a situation going on with an earth sign just now. Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. The World again coming in with a 9 of Pentacles. You are really standing strong. You're in a much better position than what you think you are, I believe. Magician coming through the World. Beautiful. Majors coming in at the root of your reading here. You're ready to make some big, strong adjustments and changes. And Death coming in, absolutely. Transformational energy coming through. Magician energy for me as well. Fantastic. Almost like sales energy coming in. I think for those of you that are like wanting to promote what you do, promote yourself, you know, get that copy right, you know, have the right message, or like link into really what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think you're set to get some fantastic information through 5 of Wands with the core from an intuitive perspective. So make sure you're just jotting down the ideas as they are kind of sprinkled through from a very celestial kind of dropping in from Spirit this month. The Moon energy with full moon and Leo. Wow, beautiful. Okay, we are going to continue this conversation. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the court cards that have come up here. This earth sign, water sign that's coming through, if that's relevant for you. A little bit more into the work and family side of things. So if you'd like to join me, you can find the link in the description box below. Otherwise, I wish you bright blessings for the month ahead. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you drop me a like and a comment, and that you're subscribed so you don't miss notifications for next month. Okay, Leo, take good care. Bye for now.